You're listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast with Prep Baseball Wisconsin, breaking down the top high school prospects and featuring all things college baseball recruiting in a changing world. Hosted by Vinny Rotino, Josh Fields, and Andy Sroka, this is Badger State Ball.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Badger State Ball Podcast. We're missing Vinny today. Vinny just had some other stuff come up. Plus, our podcast is mostly related to junior college baseball, which Vinny, being the big leaguer he is, found non-JUCO paths to the pros, which I'm mostly kidding. But he did his own thing, went to lacrosse and on. But we got Fields here. Josh, he did go the JUCO route. Nick DiMenedetto is joining us as well. Both those guys, Josh and Nick, were at a ton of our junior college-related events throughout this fall, which has really become our premium time of year where we're watching all of these junior college players with that increased focus that these guys are having on their level of play. I think with the recruiting landscape and stuff, which we always talk about every episode, but Josh, especially, you were all over the place. You were in Kansas City a couple times this fall. Nick, you were at, I think, basically every single junior college scout day that we hosted throughout this fall. Fields, you were at a ton of them as well when you weren't traveling. So that is going to dominate our podcast discussion here today, which is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. A ton of really strong Wisconsin athletes that are in the junior college ranks that are tearing it up, and we'll try to touch on some of the ones that have taken that path and are excelling at their four-year schools or beyond, whatever that might be. So we'll get to that. But I guess first, we were talking about it just before we started to record. But Fields, you did not watch the World Series last night, which was at the time of this recording, the 18-inning. It was a marathon. But you didn't get to watch that one.
Yeah, man, I dropped the ball. It looks like I missed just a great game. Our Wisconsin boy Dalton Varsho, got on base 4 times throughout his, 8 plate appearance, game there. But sure, it was great. Sure, it was electric. I saw Jeff Fry getting some Twitter heat over it, and it was just fun to observe from afar, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of there were 3, and Alex Cole got subbed in, Varsho obviously started, and Ben Roverett didn't play, but 3 Wisconsin players on the roster is pretty crazy. I'm hoping I'm not even forgetting some random bullpen arm but I don't think so. But either 3 guys on World Series roster here is pretty crazy from the state of Wisconsin. So and very different routes all 3 of those guys took as well. So it's another interesting point.
Yeah, back-to-back years of Wisconsin-born player or Wisconsin prep player is going to win a World Series. Lux did it last year, and, we got guys on both squads this year, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, one of them. And Alex Cole was a little before my time. And he was actually drafted by the White Sox, so it's ironically I didn't know anything about River Falls baseball at that time when I was, growing up in Chicago, a huge White Sox fan, all this stuff, paying attention to the prospects, that sort of thing. So I knew of Alex Cole, Ball State, before I knew about anything related to do with Wisconsin baseball, so it's kind of ironic. But he was a little before my time, but it was pretty cool seeing him get featured in that game last night. And then he lined a single to center, and Varsho fielded it and prevented him from taking an extra base there. But it was just kind of a cool Wisconsin on Wisconsin moment that stood out to me late in the game last night, which was pretty interesting. Nick, did you? I can't remember.
Yeah, both from the northern part of the state too, Marshfield and
yeah, I know.
Yeah, pretty close.
And then Rortvedt from Madison area. He's from Verona, so just kind of interesting that it's not the southeastern. I'm sure everybody listens is there's a southeastern Wisconsin bias or something, which we promise is not true. But Nick, did you get a chance to watch any of that? I can't remember what you said before we started recording. If you saw the game last night.
Yeah, I turned it on for 2 innings after the Monday Night Football game, and it was just on my phone, and it was back and forth. I saw Ohtani get intentionally walked twice, and then I went to bed.
Yeah, there were 2 more.
Yeah, I thought he was going to end it in one of those first 2 in extra innings, and then after the second intentional walk, I was like, yeah, I'm going to bed. And then I found out what happened this morning, and it seemed like a really good game.
Yeah, no, I powered through personally. I know Clayton, our producer here, he's on. You can't hear him, but he also powered through watched the game from end to end. I did have to watch it on my phone for a little bit. I got vetoed, but I don't know. I went to bed at like 2 something, so that was kind of a grind to turn around this morning. But it was worth it. It was worth it. So looking forward to game 4, I guess, tonight. So we'll see about that. But we'll turn our attention to the bulk of this episode, which we're talking about our junior college players representing the state of Wisconsin, both at programs inside our state. So that'd be, Milwaukee Area Tech, Madison Junior College, Bryant Stratton. Those will be the big ones we're talking about here today for the majority of this episode, I guess. But there's also a ton of talent outside the state, just over the border in Illinois, Rock Valley, McHenry County College, and elsewhere. So we'll try to get to some of those other guys, outside of Illinois, Wisconsin bubble here as well. But we'll go first things first here. Which of these schools, fields, maybe you want to talk about just right off the bat? I mean, you saw them multiple times, both at the Rock. We had like this little Region 5 kind of showcase gameplay that we were in attendance of scouting. But I mean, you saw these teams like on kind of multiple occasions, which I think is pretty useful for us here today. But I'll let you lead off with whichever school you want to.
Yeah, I figured we would just pick it up in whichever order I saw them this fall. So like picking it up at MATC. I mean, Caleb Bounds took over that program a couple years ago, and they just got off a 35 wins game season, nearly broke the school record for wins, and they just return a lot of sophomore bats and have a lot of guys that they're going to compete on the mound, throw a ton of strikes, and have some upside to continue to harness, continue to tap in. Like this is the JUCO route. Like there's still a lot of like physical development and like just skill development that can happen with these guys over the year. And on top of it, like most of these guys are just from Wisconsin, so you already expect these guys just to get better as they play baseball. So heading into MATC, I mean, starting it off, they got a transfer in from Illinois Chicago, Peyton Gibbon. He was a guy that Andy, you and I are going to be really familiar with. Oak Creek kid, 4-year varsity starter, played for Hitters, one of the better travel ball organizations in the area. But this is a 6'4", really physical, really strong, and like I mentioned physical and strong. There's still some room left in his frame to continue to just fill out, but this is an athletic corner outfield bat. With a ton of bat strength and a ton of bat speed. Like he's going to be able to drive the ball to all fields, be a middle of the lineup, run producing type bat for them, as well as this. It's a starter's look on the mound. These physical bats you love to see, but these workhorse type frames on the mound also play like up in the low 90s with the fastball, with a bunch of secondaries that play off of it, and a couple that look like swing and miss pitches at the next level. Like I mean, 2-way upside, middle of the order bat. Like there's a lot to like here from Peyton. Like I said, there's even more to harness, I guess.
Yeah, and I can't remember if you saw him much in high school, but I mean, he was pretty highly ranked for us, like over the course of his high school career. Kind of someone that was easy to flag early, and didn't really waver too much. He was just like essentially that same type of player in high school, which just a strong 2-way player. Maybe you liked it a little more on the mound, but like he continued to hit. You didn't want to write that off either. And the fact that he's just kind of remained that way is pretty impressive, doing it at the next level here now at Milwaukee Area Tech.
He was in the running for our player of the year as a senior.
Yep.
So like ton of ability on both sides of the ball here.
Yeah, and what he always interestingly, and like for as big and strong as he was, and he had definitely at least above average velocity, you could say. But it felt like the fastball wasn't even necessarily the thing you were like projecting on or interested in, like at the next level developmentally. He always had a really interesting, just pretty unique secondary mix. I knew he was throwing like I think I remember talking to him at an event once, and I think he kind of abandoned it because he couldn't like control it as much as he'd like to. But he had like a really interesting, like I don't know if it was a Vulcan changeup or just kind of a split change, whatever you want to call it. It was a super unique pitch that was, when it was on, it was like a Devin Williams level, maybe not in like movement or anything, but just like that, like unique and just tough to pick up. Just you saw it instantly as like this just stand-alone pitch that was going to give anybody trouble when it was on. But either way, I mean, he beyond that pitch too, like he had a ton of interesting secondaries that he kind of relied on. What did you see just in the pitch mix this fall feels that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a starter's look. Like I said, the fastball reaches in the low 90s, but there's three secondaries here, and all complementary. They all work together with like the arsenal as well. I mean, there's a low 80s cutter with some late cutting action to it. It's going to get a lot of weak contact. It almost kind of blends into like this slider cutter type hybrid there, and then there's this real vertical curveball in the mid 70s, and also just like you said, he's not really killing spin with the changeup, but there's some action on it. He's spinning it, so it's a unique pitch nonetheless.
Yeah, no, interesting. Well, he's getting it done, and I saw some video too of him just swinging this fall as well. And he kind of looks like the same guy in all the best ways. So that's a huge get for MATC. But the list goes on with them too. I mean, this is a team that I can't remember. I was trying to remember how many wins they had last year. I had it just pulled up. I mean,
They had 35.
Yeah, 35 games last year, and it feels like the roster got stronger. They lost some of the sophomores going through it, some familiar names that moved on to their next destinations, like Marco Folletti was one that I remember that stuck out to me. But there's some others here returning. Jaden Jung returns, and then there's some arms as well. Jacob Lakia, Ethan Engelbrecht, Max Nottingham. There's a lot of interesting names. Noah Canella. But any of those guys that really made an impression with you this fall?
Yeah, a number of those guys. Starting off with Jaden Jung. I mean, this bat's going to play. There's a ton of strength in the bat, and it's super twitchy, a ton of bat speed. Like, you look at the blast numbers, you pull them up, and it's just all of our tiers is just all red.
Yep. He was really physical, really like swung very hard in high school, and it seems like the results are kind of paying out for him.
Yeah, the production translates in game. There's not a ton of it's like average swing and miss, but with how much he impacts the baseball and how much he's driving in runs for you, he's going to win you a lot of games. This is a middle of the order bat, and it's defense that can pass at first or behind the plate, so you're really just getting a run producing right-handed hitter with a ton of bat speed. It's all fields power, and it's it might be close to like an average power at the end of the day. So there's a real profile there, real value there. And then going into some of the arms you mentioned, couple of starting pitchers returned for them from last year. Jacob Laquay, like you had mentioned, he was a Chippewa Falls native. It's like 5'11", 6 foot righty, but there's a ton of strength here. He's going to be able to pitch a ton of innings and just be able to handle a workload. It's a heavy fastball with a lot of carry in upper 80s, low 90s, but there's also a ton of feel for the changeup off of the fastball, and he's developing more feel to spin a breaking ball. Like last spring or last fall, he spun a really good one. This year he's throwing a harder one, but he's throwing harder, so it's subtracting some of the movement off of it. But it's another complementary pitch that he's throwing it hard. That's gonna it's gonna play well in the zone anyway. So this is another starter that I mean, what do I have here? He tossed 37 innings for them last year, so he's going to get more innings. There's going to be a ton of just experience, a ton of workload, and a ton of production from this kid. Going into Ethan Engelbrecht.
Look, I just want to talk on Laquay real quick because I remember him pretty vividly. I didn't get to see him in game in high school, but just talking about making an impression at like an event and I think he was a Chippewa Falls Legion post player. As far as I know, he didn't play a ton of travel ball, so I didn't see him a ton in the spring or anything. But seeing him in just the showcase setting, it was pretty evident that he could be someone that could make an impact on a college program. Wasn't sure, I guess, without those in-game looks, like the starter versus reliever type profile. But either way, just on pure stuff. I remember at that time he was throwing. He was more of like a sinker guy. I don't know if you didn't describe the fastball quite that way, so maybe I'm misremembering there a little bit. But his field strikes were there, at least in this bullpen type setting, and then the secondaries were really interesting at that time too. But I just emphasizing the point of the making that showcase impression, it's memorable when you're this Legion player who we get excited about that when you might not have a ton of looks on you just yet, but clearly the talent is there, just like Laquay has shown. he came to like a Sticks event. I think it was like this fall kind of time of year that he attended something in front of us, and he just I always stuck out to me because he came when I think he was like a sophomore or something, and I never forgot it because I remember liking it at that moment, and then just kind of seeing him progress, and that was always fun. So just reminiscing a little bit, I guess.
It's almost like it's one of the most rewarding parts of our job, watching a lot of these guys that you don't know about, just really perform and take off once they're in college. But moving on to, just another one of their performers from last year, Ethan Engelbrecht was a starter for them last year. Went started for them last year, pitched a ton for them, 22 innings, 2.78 ERA, struck out a ton of guys. This is another fastball that gets up in the low 90s with a ton of with some complementary pitches to, add to the profile. There's some swing and miss upside here. Like I said, the fastball getting in the low 90s. There's a curveball and a cutter that are his go-to secondaries. He really likes to spin it, and then he's developing feel for both of a splitter and a slider. The cutter and the slider get a little blendy at times, so there's just separating out the two pitches right there. It'll give him another. I mean, that's a 5-pitch mix that 3 of them already work, and he's gaining feel for 2 more. Like, this is another starter's look that can, really pitch a lot of innings for you as well.
Yeah, the Engelbrecht splitter is kind of like a family trademark, I think, at this point.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I don't know, and this could be wrong in my notes here. I don't know if he started much for them last year, but he did make 15 appearances, it says. So I don't. Maybe he started.
Oh yeah, I had that wrong. Right.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're good. I was just clearing that up. But I mean, it looked like a strong year out of him last year as a freshman. But you think like he leveled up this fall? You're saying?
Leveled up, yeah. There's some strikes here with the fastball. I mean, like I said, there's 2 already secondary pitches that he can go to, and if he just adds another one, that adds another ingredient hitter's going to have to worry about. There's already spin in, spin away element to it, so he adds something like kill and spin. That's just going to add another way for him to get hitters out.
Yeah, and is Manny Sostre all the way back healthy?
Oh, Manny Sostre is healthy, yeah. He's another arm in there, with that next. He's going to pitch a lot for them as well this spring. It's Manny Sostre. It's the cleanest, silkiest, operation you can find probably out there on this staff, and there's just a ton of when you look at the frame. I mean, he's a long, lean, long levered kid, and the feel to spin a breaking ball with ease just stands out. I think there's multiple breaking balls in there, and I mean, you look at Manny Sostre and you can just see, okay, there's more velo coming here. It just needs to pitch more.
Yeah, it was unfortunate timing with his injury in particular, because it felt like he was primed to have a really. We liked it a lot going into his junior year, I think.
Yeah, he was a fringe future gamer heading into that year.
Yep, and then it just kind of got derailed a little bit. But we remained as a staff just really interested in once he got back on the mound, back healthy. So it. Sounds like this is a great spot for him to grow and develop in, just kind of get back on the mound and eat up those innings that he lost over the course of the last, year and a half plus, because he felt like he was primed for a, massive breakout type of senior spring that just never came to fruition. But hopefully that does this next spring here at MATC. So that's a good one. Anybody else here you want to touch on with MATC?
Yeah, we can break down some more of their freshmen of their classes, like you had mentioned, Max Nottingham. I really like this arm. This is 6'1" right-hander, a ton of room left in the frame, but the arm speed really plays, and there's a kind of an electric fastball in there as well as just a breaking ball. I think this is going to play at the back end of the bullpen right away, and he could even turn over a lineup once, and I mean. Like I had previously said, just imagine this continuing to get better at 2 years at junior college. Arm speed with athleticism, that's gonna tick up just naturally.
Yep.
And then moving on to some of their freshman bats, Noah Canella and Kyle Ugaldi are some freshman bats that could start for them. This is kind of a sophomore heavy lineup, so trying to find some freshmen to shout out here was a little bit of a challenge, but Canella is kind of this right-handed hitter, physical corner outfield type with some bat speed and some, just power output. It's another potential like run producing bat that can really handle a corner. There's some arm strength, so it can play in right either corner. The defense is there. There's some building athleticism there, and it's just another physical, explosive body there. Ugaldi is kind of this upside left-handed hitting polished catcher. I say the upside because you look at the frame and I mean he's 6'1", like 180, 170. And like everything he does is clean. Like all of the movements, like that'll play, the catch and throw, the movements behind the plate, he can really receive, and then it's just a smooth left-handed swing. So once he really just adds on to the frame, you can really see how the tools are going to tick up there. And it's left-hand hitting catcher, you can stick behind the plate. That's just a lot to get excited about.
Yeah, Canella, I remember last year, just he was someone I felt like I had sort of slept on or something personally. So seeing him kind of make an impression already this fall at MATC in front of you, I think is nice to hear, just because it felt like the pieces were there. So sounds like he has a shot to crack this lineup right away, despite being sophomore heavy, like you said.
Yeah. I think we can head on to Bryant Stratton there, unless you had some other call-outs for the Stormers here.
No, let's do it. Yeah, Bryant Stratton next. I'll let you, as the alum. I mean, you're pretty, I would say, unbiased. You do your best. To be.
I do my best.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
But I mean, this is, and I'll even speak before you, real quick, just to like lay the foundation here. But just this is a really strong roster for this group. It's just fun to watch them, and Coach Tomter just really materialize something here with this Bryant and Stratton program. They've had some interesting players that have gone on to really excel at their next destination. Alex Bruckheimer is the latest example of it at Kansas, most recently drafted by the Cardinals. But you think that this group, especially in the mound, has a chance to really become, not just a fan favorite like locally or something like that, but earn some maybe even national attention for themselves.
Yeah, there's just the raw talent, and like there's a really good and a really strong foundation of just guys that are going to fill up the zone, compete, and on top of like the raw stuff on inside this roster. So like heading into like some of that foundation, like I had mentioned, the strike throwing, the guys that are going to compete, like they returned two of their top like innings getters from last year. Landon Ragau, who just recently committed to Central Michigan, I believe. He's a left-hander starter for them as well. And Jake Ross, like I had just said, they pitched. They had the most innings pitched on this roster last year. So they return a ton of experience, and just even dating back into high school, these guys just pitched and competed and filled up the zone. Like Landon Ragau, there might be above average command of the fastball here. He really locates his fastball to different spots of the zone. It's into the upper 80s. He'll probably pitch at 86, 87. There's mid 70s breaking ball that'll get some swing and miss there, but he'll also throw that in the zone as well. So a strike throwing, imposing left-hander. I forgot to mention he's 6'7", 6'8" as well.
Massive.
So it's just he's massive. Just coming at you from a weird angle. It's really tough, and like looking at it from outside, like I wouldn't want to be in the box against that, especially like he's extending out that far, trying to throw it over the plate there. So starting off of there already gives you a pretty good foundation for.
That's a good one too, right there.
And then Jake Ross. Heading back from Ross's senior year, like this was probably one of the most electric arms to watch in the WIA as a senior. It was already pitching in the upper 80s, a ton of moxie, a ton of like competitiveness on the mound that he would show through. Like he pitches with a ton of energy, and it really shows. And the arm stands out. It's a loose 3/4 low slot arm that just bounces back really quick, really easy. Like if he's not a starter, he could probably pitch 2 or 3 times in a week, and he'll fill up the zone with a mid to upper 80s fastball and multiple breaking balls as well. So another strike thrower for them as well. And then
real quick on Ross too. 8 walks in 45 innings last year as a freshman, And even Rago, I mean, 26 walks in 39 innings, maybe not quite like ideal, but still like, getting it done. Which is somewhat atypical, I guess, for the junior college scene. A little bit more accustomed to seeing those guys like letting it eat. Walks be damned, but that's kind of a breath of fresh air with those guys, especially Ross. And that really sets the tone, I think. But I think you're about to get into who they have behind them.
I was actually just gonna mention the last guy that really impresses with his ability to command the zone, Evan Lauer. I mean, last year as a senior, he was our first team All State. I mean, he threw some of the best outings all spring last year, and I mean, Pierre Cousseau and Ethan Bowertman and Ryan Braneke were still pitching inside the state as well. So, goes to show you how impressive his performance was as a senior. But there's real feel to spin and just pitch for Evan Lauer. He'll pitch backwards. He'll use a right on right changeup, left on. He'll go to changeup lefties, righties, spin in, spin away. He'll probably throw a fastball 8 to 10 times in an outing, but he'll find ways to get you swing and miss from 3 of his other pitches that he has. All of them he'll throw in the zone as well.
Yeah, I don't want to get trapped in I feel like for the next 20 years, people are going to be saying oh, this is the next Kyle Hendricks just because he doesn't throw hard. But he does actually remind me of a Kyle Hendricks type, where he's probably has actually 12 pitches or something, because the way he manipulates the breaking ball, it could go, he's looking for soft with depth as a change of pace pitch, or a little quicker with little less depth, shorter bite to it, or we saw him pitch in April, and we probably mentioned this on the podcast plenty of times, but he didn't throw a fastball for the first 2 innings of the game or something, and we thought we were wrong, or our radar guns were broken or something because it just didn't seem right. But now he does his own thing, and it seems like he fits right in with what Bryant Stratton is gunning for with this rotation. Like Ross, with those 8 walks, 45 innings. Lauer is that type of guy too, and I believe he'll take to this level of competition seamlessly. He's that type of competitor too. I think the pitch mix is plenty good enough to get outs at this level, and in the meantime, I think he's just going to be getting better physically, developmentally, and I'm excited to see what those gains look like for him in a year's time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm all in on that take as well. And then heading into some of the other arms that they have, 2 guys that returned from them last year, Eli Niemiec and Giles Grudhausen. Both of them were also, fan favorites of ours back as preps. Both of them also have real field spin, some swing and miss breaking balls. This is where we start getting into some of the stuff that can really, if they start to harness it a little more and get more inside the zone, this could really start to separate the staff, not just inside the state and inside Region 4, but also nationally. You pull up Giles Grudhausen's TrackMan data, and there's 2 different but also huge breaking balls. There's a 20-inch IVB curveball and a 20-inch sweep slider in there to pair with just a huge carry fastball from a higher slot, and he also has a changeup. So there's a ton of stuff here, and like I said, finding the zone more often with this stuff, he's going to get hitters out at any level if he can find the zone consistently with this type of stuff, is what I'm trying to get at. And I mean, he struck out 13 guys per 9 last year. It played last year when it was in the zone as well. The same thing can be said for Eli Niemiec as well. I mean, another guy that picked up strikeouts in bunches, almost 11 per 9 last year, but another guy that can really spin a breaking ball. I mean, both of these guys pitch into the upper 80s with their fastballs, but they should probably lean in on more of their secondary offerings, the stuff that can get any type of hitter out, righty or lefty, a high-end level guy, or a guy that's just going to grind in and really bats a ball guy. So, I mean, So, both of these guys, high-end stuff, really can pitch at, really can strike guys out in bunches, and I could see, them, starting in some capacity, or even picking up a lot of multi-inning relief roles, or there's a lot of guys like this on the staff, so there might be there's going to be some innings to roll around. There's going to be some roles being shifted.
No, I mean, you're totally right, because before we were live and recording, you were kind of talking about how high the ceiling is, I think, on this staff. and I looking down this list, like totally in agreement here, because to UW Milwaukee transferred Parker Black, Nick Heisel, and Parker Meifert here too from Greenfield, I believe.
Yeah, St. Charles transfer.
Yeah, St. Charles, good call. But Heisel in particular, I mean, he's almost he's a lot like Grudhausen in a way, but with somehow even more spin. It's kind of some of the best spin I think any of us saw nationally at the JUCO level throughout this fall, if I'm not mistaken, just in our scout day settings, like where they're pitching in front of the TrackMan and so on. I think Heisel was spinning a breaking ball tighter than anyone else that we had at our events, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there is two 3,300 plus RPM breaking balls in here, and like you can project on these as being two future plus or even better pitches realistically. Like, and as I said, like it's almost similar, like you said, to Grudhausen. Like it's similar gaudy numbers, just in either direction, like 20 inches of sweep or 15 to 20 inches of IVB on a breaking ball, like different pitches, but like gaudy, and like you look at them and you can see like, oh wow, he's moving the baseball that much. No wonder it's not like around the zone as much as you'd want, but just harnessing that around the zone, like I said, but with Grudhausen, there's probably not a hitter in junior college that can hit that if it's around the zone, is like I've been saying. Like maybe there's a grid pitch, maybe there's a cutter in there that, there's a lot of things you can do inside this arsenal around these two secondary pitches, these two breaking balls, to make him probably around the zone a little more. But once this is probably one of the higher end prospects in junior college, I would assume. Like,
yeah, I mean,
being able to spin a breaking ball is kind of
because naturally you'll get some attention when you can spin like that, and it wouldn't take much to, I think, get a ton of schools, 4-year schools, interested in further teasing that out as he continues to grow and develop in the coming years. But Bryant Stratton's got a good situation, I think, bringing him in and making the best out of it right now in this 2026 season. But Parker Black too is another name that you mentioned ahead of time. But what'd you get out of him this fall?
Yeah, Parker Black is, huge. First of all, huge and physical. Like the frame immediately stands out. He's 6'5", 210, and there's still a ton of it's a lean frame at 210, and there's still a ton of room to add to it. And Bryant Stratton has done well with this type of frame before, with Alex Brackheimer before, really developing the athlete in the frame there. But on the pitching side, there's another starter's arsenal here. And if he continues to add to his frame and add velo, I think this could be he could vault himself into a draft prospect as well here. 6'5", loose, lean, if uptick in velo and strikes, perfect world, you're going to say this guy's a Power 5 starter, weekend guy. In most worlds, that guy starts getting draft looks. But breaking down the arsenal, there's the lively fastball. It's gotten up to the low 90s, up to 91, I believe. But there's a low 70s two-plane breaking ball. There's another sweeping slider, and then the changeup I really like because he really kills a lot of depth on it. And there's upwards of 20 inches of difference from the fastball and the changeup. Metrically in a vacuum, you might not be super excited about that fastball, but you pair it up with that changeup and you work off of that changeup. The fastball is gonna be able to get a lot of outs as well there.
Yeah, that's a good call. Xavier High School, I believe, Parker Black, and he stood out there physically, and seeing his progression has been fun for us as well as a staff. So getting Tomter, Nate Brown, that staff with him, I think will be pretty interesting to see the results. So we'll check back in on them in the spring. Anybody else you wanted to mention here with Bryant Stratton? Maybe positionally, Josh DiOrio, kind of a staff favorite of ours.
Josh DiOrio and Brayton Nelson are the two. I guess you can throw in Jacob Garth there too, or the three returning bats that have had a lot of success. Brayden Nelson was an all-region outfielder for them last year, swatted 11 home runs. There was 22 total extra base hits. He's a 6'6" runner that can, you can play him in center field. This is the guy, their guy in the lineup, the guy that's gonna, they're gonna be looking for him to come up with the big hits and drive him all the runs. And, you know, he did that a lot for them last year. And, I mean, he could even take up again, you know, cut out some swing and miss and find himself having even a better year.
Yeah.
Already some bat speed with some tools to back it up and production, like cutting down some swing and miss from these strikeout numbers. You know, he's going to, you know, just find himself even more valuable piece for the Bobcats here.
Yeah, what do we got on my guy Rory Dutton, though?
Rory Dutton just, you know, just competes and really plays like Rory Dutton and Ryan Lesnick, I'm going to talk about him later. They're very similar profiles, both left-handed hitters, both can really play a lot of scrappy defense, but the bat's a ball and the ability to drag out at-bats and really compete really stands out. Like, I mean, I think Rory Dutton can really, like, fill out a lineup nicely. Like, you're going to be happy to get this kid, and just, I mean, the IQ really stands out as well. So, like, there's a lot of, like, things going in favor outside of the tools for a guy like Rory Dutton here.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot to like here with Bryant Stratton, MATC. So far, the two we've gone through. We've actually spent a ton of time on these two programs, which is fun. Maybe even more than I thought, because I figured Madison Junior College here next on our list to discuss was gonna. They're easy to talk about. They're easy to talk at length about. So just
I
some
think
of
that
the
just goes to show you
Yeah.
how, like, the level of baseball around the state is kind of just ticking up. Like, there's a lot of talk about from, like, we're not even getting into a lot of the freshmen, a lot of guys that have some really interesting stuff to talk about them. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Ashton Johnson, -10 IVB changeup for Bryant Stratton as well. So, like, another call out there, but there's a lot to talk about from
Oh, yeah,
each
and
of these programs
Jacob
inside the
Hurkin,
states.
I mean, Jacob Hurkin, defensively, Watertown catcher.
Cal.
Cal is the catcher. I always flip them back and forth. So, Cal, I mean, genuinely, without hyperbole, like an elite defender behind the plate. So the fact that you have all these arms, this depth on staff, and meanwhile, Cal should be the one receiving them for the most part. I think that gives you all these, like, reassurances that not only are these arms, like, raising the ceiling of, like, the winning potential here with Bryant Stratton, but, like, you're comfortable knowing that you have a pretty special defender there, you know, calling games, receiving, you know, what these guys do best.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Hurtgen can also really put the bat on the ball. I don't think
Yeah.
he struck out his senior year. I think that was a nugget we had from the high school season. But yeah, I mean, Hurtgen is another really good, really high-end freshman that they got on roster.
Yeah, no, they're looking down the list here. Elliot Rothley, Mason Summer, Andrew Carlson. There's a lot of really interesting freshmen here. One of these guys, Mac Wagner, was great at slinger last year as a senior. Yeah, this will be a fun roster to kind of keep in touch with. So we'll be sure to check back in on them as soon as we can here. Thankfully, the JUCO season kicked us off in 2026, so that'll be first things first once real baseball starts getting played in 2026 again. But then we'll transition here to the heavyweights. You know, year in, year out, Madison Junior College just gets the job done, not just locally or regionally, but nationally. They're that good. They deserve to be. But we've talked about Noah Marshy, I think, quite a bit on this podcast, just over the last, 6 months even. I think even when he was uncommitted as a senior at Spash, like we talked about him back then, so we might not need to talk about him too much here, Fields, but he is their de facto ace, would you say, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have like two, you can even lump in the three-headed monster up there at top, but it's definitely Marshke leading the pack there. Lefty, really attacks hitters, doesn't waste a lot of pitches, and there's 3 pitches here. It's a low 90s fastball with some carry in there, and a mid-upper 70s breaking ball, and you know, he'll flash a changeup in there as well, but doesn't waste a lot of pitches, really gets at really efficient operation, and just, you know, funk from the left side. It's really hard to barrel up.
Yep. Chase Baker, another lefty. He had a ton of potential in high school. He was just physically interesting, fast arm. Like, felt like one day this was all going to kind of click for him. And I feel like we're sort of at the very beginning of that right now, Feels. I think you got some great looks at Chase specifically.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And echoing the point that you said about Manny Sostre, just kind of an untimely injury. The same thing kind of happened with Chase as well. But hit the ground running right away. Pitched pretty well. Had some starts, had some relief appearances, but 2.72 ERA across 36 innings 36 and a third innings last year. Another kind of just dynamic athlete, left, and also happens to be left-handed and 6'3", 6'4". So there's some size, there's the left-handedness, and the operation all stand out. There's a ton of arm speed and lots to like here. Just visually looking at Chase, and then you break into it. Like, he already has the production. There's an upper 80s, low 90s fastball with definitely more to come. I would assume, just looking at the delivery and looking at the operation. Like him. I saw 87 to 89 at the Puma, and then I heard that it was even firmer and looks after the fact. But there's also a breaking ball and changeup in there that both are thrown really hard, and we'll get swing and misses just by that fact alone. But there's some upside to those pitches as well, and just a lot to like with Chase Baker. I've watching Madison this spring or this fall. I've noticed that there's a lot of like high end recruiters and scouts coming in to watch these guys.
Yeah, no, that's great. I hadn't even realized too that Chase Baker managed to pitch 36 innings in 2025. That was probably more than I thought he did, which it was great because I think they didn't go quite according to plan. I mean, he was pretty good, 3.72 ERA over that stretch. He didn't strike out many.
He pitched in a ton of games for them.
Yeah.
He even pitched in their World Series games for them down there as well.
Yeah, I knew down the stretch he started to pitch more and more, but I think that just getting back on the mound basically and like competing again is probably huge for him. So seeing him kind of take all that momentum from the late spring, late summer into the fall now, like that'll be huge for him. But they have a ton of guys here. Like the list goes on. Axel Donaldson, I'm curious how his development is because he was so fun to watch at De Pere as a senior, and then seeing him just completely hit the ground running at Madison was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, Axel is another. I kind of gave Bryant Stratton the floor with those strike throwing competitors, but you could lump in Chase Baker, Axel Donaldson, and Noah Marshke in with those guys as well. Like, these guys all compete, but heading into Axel here, I mean, smaller frame, like at 5'10" probably, but twitchy and athletic as can be. With field of spin, it's been up to the upper 80s, low 90s at times this spring and into the fall. Just a ton of feel for the zone with all of his pitches. There's a breaking ball in there that he can spin, and even dating back into his senior year, he really spun that breaking ball, and it really performed in the zone, and it's still performing as a sophomore at the junior college level. But I mean, this guy's going to start for them again, eat a ton of innings for them, and be one of their most trusted arms. Like, I believe Coach Davenport had told me that he was down the stretch. He was getting some of the tougher games, and he was getting the ball to start for them as a freshman last year. So, I mean, a guy that was the de facto number one for De Pere as a senior, like you had said, like, he pitched in a ton of games, and he's continuing to perform well in a lot of high leverage spots here.
Yeah, no, it's fun seeing a player like that just kind of play the same exact way as a senior in high school as they are as a freshman at a junior college level. Cause,
he went 6-0 across 44 innings and had a 1.84 ERA for them.
Yeah.
And, like, you wouldn't look at Axel Donaldson and think that he's this imposing presence
don't
on the
change
mound.
a thing. Yeah, I mean, he just obviously got a little better as he's gotten older, as in college, stronger and so on. Sure, but more or less, like it just seemed like it was the same pitch mix, same kind of approach, mentality. It felt like, but. And it worked. 18 walks, 34 strikeouts in 44 innings, just 9 earned runs on the year, 9 runs allowed total, 29 hits. I mean, having like a Marshke who is on the other end of the spectrum in terms of like, this is what you would see in like a potential JUCO draft, like 66 innings, 89 strikeouts, 2.29 ERA, 30 walks, and different results, I guess, but like at the end of the day, those guys won 14 games combined last year, lost just once. So those are your table setters, I guess you could say, for this rotation so far. But I mean, it
continues even beyond that. Like, there's two more power right-handers on this list, like Broden Jackson, like you just said, and Landon Desert. So like getting into both of those guys, like Jackson's probably like for me, he's their power arm. Like he'd be their guy. Like, hey, I need to strike out, and like I'm gonna throw Brenton Jackson. He's gonna throw 3 fastballs. They're not gonna have a chance.
Yeah, and
But phys-
he's
yeah,
like a good example too of like a player who had like not every player like from their freshman year to their senior year of high school is just going to age or develop, I guess, like in a straight like uphill line. Like he had some ups and downs, like because he really stood out physically on the mound, offensively as an underclassman, Milton, and then started to really put it together as a senior in high school. And once he hit like the campus at Madison, like it started like 15 innings last year. But like there's a reason we're talking about him now. It just feels like he's just turning the cusp into this like high leverage arm that you can really trust.
yeah, exactly. And I can see. I mean, this pitch mix. There's 3 pitches here. They're all hard. They all got swing and miss this fall, and like I could see him in a variety of roles for the Wolfpack this spring. Starter, reliever, back end guy. Like Ace got, hey, you're my first reliever. Go get me into the 7th inning right now. Like a ton of roles that I could see for Broden here. Heading into another right-hander, another power arm for them that pitched well for them last year, Landon Desert. I've seen the fastball like reach into the low 90s pretty convincingly, like up to 92, I believe, at the Puma. The secondaries were firm, but a little behind from what they were in high school. But with the way he's pitching, the 20 innings last year and 0.89 ERA. The results speak for themselves here. And Landon Desert, we've liked him since high school. Ton of history with him pitching well, throwing a ton of strikes. So, watching him perform right away at Madison, just I don't know. It doesn't take me by surprise, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting too that he's kind of a different player than he was in high school, at least seemingly. With just maybe some more walks than you'd be accustomed to seeing out of him from the version he was in high school. But you'd almost trade that for the gains he's made with like the swing and miss stuff, fastball velo, and kind of blending the two. I think will be the next challenge. But the results obviously have already been good, so seeing him take those next steps should be. I don't know. They seem realistic, I guess, feasible for Landon Desert, former Union Grove kid.
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of low-hanging fruits for guys across this staff. Like, I mean, we're not going to be able to break down as much of these guys like we have with like Desert and Jackson, but Carter Lund, I mean, he was another like efficient right-hander, a guy that performed for them last year, but he was a guy I was, excited to see at the Puma because Coach D had saw me before he had thrown and was like, hey, this guy was throwing really well. You should make sure to get a look at him. But, his outing only lasted 4 pitches because all 4 pitches were fastballs at 88, and he got 3 outs, and he just walked off the mound like it was business as usual, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's other guys like Brayson Berg on the staff, Noah Musoff, that are all going to play like a lot of roles and, all deserve to be talked about. Like Brayson Berg looked like one of the top guys for them last fall.
Yep.
Up to 91 with a breaking ball. I mean, there's upside there. Noah Musoff is going to start, going to relieve, going to pitch a ton of innings for them, really fill up the zone with a fastball and breaking ball. Like a ton of stuff to look out from this, Madison College staff, and just year after year they reload, and we haven't even gotten into their freshmen yet.
Yeah, like Charlie Swinski, Casey Wambach, Tavian Schrammick, Aaron Plozet, all those guys, like individually, I think would have been huge gets, like for, 4 years even. Like Schrammick with his track record of just striking dudes out. Casey Wambach has really interesting fastball changeup that we've seen and liked. I know you pointed him out, like I think specifically this fall, Field, if I'm not mistaken. Aaron Plozet, super interesting lefty out of Holman. Slowinski, we really, really like. He was this, athletic middle infielder coming up, and the arm just, always stood out. And I think he was relatively new at it. Once he was around a junior or so, pitching, just started to refine that side of his game. And now he just feels like, he could be even like the next big thing for Madison if everything kind of comes together too. So The
Yeah,
thing
and
with
Jack
Madison,
Pellet
yeah.
is right in there in that group as well.
Yeah, and Jack Pellet too is the same way. He was like a high profile kid throughout his high school career, and seeing him land here as well, it's like they Madison. This is how they do it. Like they have these elite arms that you can kind of trust at this point, like a Marshke and versions of that in years past, and backing them up is are all of these up and coming guys who if they're good enough to make an impact right away, they will, and if not, like there's a good chance like in 2027 like we'll be talking about these guys the same way as we're talking about Broden Jackson and the rest of these guys.
Yeah, like how great of a spot is it to be in October? Like just to look at your roster and see all the established pitching that you have, meaning you don't really need to rely on these freshmen as much. Like
Yeah.
such a great spot to be in for the Wolfpack here, and I think you're going to see some similar depth heading into their offense as well.
Yeah, well, and you can speak firsthand on this just because looking through the statistics of like 2025, it feels like they're going to be replacing a good amount, maybe not so much like in terms of like the quantity per se, like but if the quality, like the production, like losing Edison Alonso, Jalen Gellings, just production like that feels like it's going to be tough to replace individually, but there are definitely some players capable of filling in some of those holes, correct?
Oh yeah, I think they have a deep group of players that they can rely on to get the big hit or driving the run in any type of situation. Like starting off, I think they're Sam Moses and Nate Novinska were like the guys that were really producing this fall at the Puma, and even in looks after the fact. Like Sam Moses, 2 backside home runs at the Puma in front of me, and up to 90 with multiple pitches with 4 different secondaries, I think. But the bat really plays. It's a left-handed swing with you look at the frame. It's a lean, athletic, kind of twitchy 6'1" frame from the left side, and there's a ton of strength from obviously there's a ton of strength. I mean, he went backside twice at the Puma, seeing velo, seeing spin. It was crazy.
Yeah,
And then,
Novinska, I mean, hitting 8 home runs, 10 doubles last year, 10 doubles, 2 triples, 8 homers, and 160 at bats last year as a catcher outfielder freshman for Madison. But seeing him just completely break out right away, I think was a huge takeaway for them in 2025.
yeah, he was another guy that performed in front of me at the Puma. Multiple 100+ mile an hour base hits across the looks. But I mean, Andy, I don't remember Novinska defensively too much in high school, but like I think that there's some real like ability behind the plate here, which is kind of driving his recruiting here. Like, hey, I can stick behind the plate. I've caught a full season with all of these guys that you guys are recruiting to pitch for you guys. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the top bats in Wisconsin, probably in Region 4, and if not across the NJCAA, I guess.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like we were just kind of light on Nate because I don't remember. I remember liking the tools. Like it felt like he checked a lot of boxes, and maybe we just didn't get enough in-game looks of Novinska because, yeah, you're totally right in that if all of these things kind of meet expectations, like if he is a catcher, continues to be that like reliable starting catcher, obviously the offense makes him that much more valuable behind the plate there, and yeah, for sure it would make him one of the most interesting Midwest catchers, JUCO catchers available, I think. So that's a good call. We'll have to kind of do a little bit more spotlighting, I think, with Nate specifically because he's totally earned it. 8 home runs, was second on the team last year behind just Edison Alonso, which is pretty good company to be in. But the rest of the lineup looks
Heading into more guys that
yeah.
I think that can hit the ground running, driving a bunch of runs for them. Some transfer bats. Quinn Fallish, actually heading into his second year here. He was a Michigan State transfer 2 years ago. And Eason Hurd, who comes over from Creighton. I mean, both of these guys are strong with bat speed and just can really drive the baseball to all fields. I saw Fallish really lift a ball to center field that you could hear the bang off the wall as it made contact with the wall in center field at Grand Park. But I mean, he's a physical athlete, but it doesn't look like he's trying too hard. But like baseball comes easy to him almost. But there's some feel to really hit in game, and if he's hitting the baseball like he did in the fall at Grand Park, there's there's going to be a ton of just, extra base hits and runs being scored off of, some Quinn Fowler barrels here.
Yeah.
Same thing can be said for Easton Hurd. Like another guy that can just impact baseball to all fields. It's an easy, strong swing. He played a bunch of different positions at the Puma as well. He was moving all around the infield, shortstop, second, third. I think he might have even played some corner outfield for them. But look for him to move around. But like I said, it's the same thing with Quinn. It's the same thing with Nate and Sam. Like they're gonna barrel baseballs, drive it to all fields, hit a bunch of extra base hits, and drive in some runs.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, there's some interesting freshmen here. Paul Nutzel from Homestead, I mean, could be a huge.
Yeah, redshirt freshman this year.
Oh yeah, that's true. I was gonna say because he with Brewer, that's seniors. Yeah, so redshirt freshman Nutzel could make a huge impact right away this fall once he returns. Bo Blocksdorf, we were fans of his. Teammate of Landon Desert in high school. Union Grove, just a really reliable defender at shortstop. It's kind of all you need. Braylon White, Matt Gruber, Chase Micah, more athletic outfielders fields that you listed here. That's a good group. I know where.
Yeah, a lot of athletes that can really play. I mean, all of those guys are going to be able to run down baseballs in the outfield. And we already got to see some of Braylon White like crack into the lineup a little bit this fall. And, that's kind of like what he was tasked to do. Hey, really play some defense. Let the run tool really stand out. And, I mean, the bat was always a little behind for Braylon, but he always had bats and ball, and he's going to figure out a way to be productive at any level, I think, with, it's a center field defense with, like, a true, like, run speed that actually matters.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good call with Braylon. We will get Nick, let's get you involved here because I think we'll move on from Madison, talk about some of these out-of-state JUCOs, but from our neck of the woods, and by that I mean mine and yours, McHenry County area, as well as like Rock Valley. You'll see a lot of Wisconsin guys make the trek just over the border to play baseball after high school. And Rock Valley, McHenry, both these schools have really like benefited, I think, from kind of growing that like pipeline. Like some of the best players over the last handful of years, especially, have been from Wisconsin, and doesn't feel like it's any different this year, this coming spring in 2026. But either of these programs, I don't know, anybody want to talk off just right off the bat here from Rock Valley, McHenry County?
Yeah, I think the most impressive performance that I saw out of all the scout days was PJ Hamill from Arrowhead at McHenry. He's got a 6'4", 210 frame, and I mean, the BP round was insane. I mean, towering home runs all over the field. He had a max exit velo of 106, was averaging 97, hitting balls 400 feet plus. I mean, they've got a big wall and left at McHenry, and he was clearing it easily. I mean, he was putting it to center into the trees. It was nuts. One of the best rounds of BP that I've seen. He's got some bat speed with it as well. I mean, he's averaging 77 miles an hour, maxed out at 81. And then even behind the plate, the velo, I mean, he's got a strong arm. He was up to 83 behind the plate. The lower pop time, and the performance was loud. And even with that frame and that strength, he's still a sub-7 runner. He had a 6.93, so I think he easily will be a power 4 prospect in the next year or so, and he's just a freshman too. So I know I've heard that they've got some other catchers back there, so he'll be competing for some time back there, but it was a performance that you could not ignore.
That's great with because I felt like feels like because we saw Arrowhead quite a few times last year, especially with just Cousteau, and they were a good team obviously as always. But I felt like Hamill, PJ had like really started to look the part defensively, especially we've liked a lot in BP settings offensively, and he was hitting more than ever this spring too. But just like we were talking about before with Nate Novinska and like being able to separate and raise your own floor and prospect status as like this true catcher who can also hit a lot could make PJ pretty special. But do you agree with Nick there? Like you kind of saw some more gains, maybe even quicker than you would have expected out of PJ?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I had said before, like guys, high school players from Wisconsin, like you expect to get a lot better even like first couple years into college. So like just PJ just ticking up just naturally just, made sense. Like this level this early, like yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise, but it's happened a lot at McHenry County. Like there's a lot of history with Wisconsin catchers and catchers in general just at that program really taking off and just performing well and then getting on to the next level. Like Nick had said, there's another catcher on roster, Caden Behrens. He's another Wisconsin guy, but I mean he just committed to Western Michigan. He's gonna be a Division I player next year. Really reliable defender, catches really well, does all the right things, and he swings a strong right-handed bat. So like there's a ton of already like there. But I guess going back to PJ, like you had said, like the bat was always like ahead. I mean he's 6'4" with a ton of levers and a ton of feel to barrel a baseball. That's like long been there, but also what's been there was like he really wanted to catch. He was probably one of the most vocal catchers I've ever seen throughout Wisconsin high school. And like you could just tell like this kid just wanted to be a good catcher and he was kind of born to be a catcher. So like him, eventually taking that step up into, now he's, being a guy, power 4 level prospect, like Nick said, like, yeah, that was always in there, I feel like.
Yeah. And it should help too, that he's gotten to catch some pretty big arms, I think, over the course of his high school career with Arrowhead. Always rostering a handful of the better arms in the state, and most recently Peter Cusseau, and making it look, pretty easy to be honest. So all that stuff, I think, on top of his athleticism and just the tools that we've referred to here, but that added experience, getting a little bit more of the that transition to the college ball, I think will have less of a learning curve to it than maybe some of these other players that aren't as accustomed to facing or receiving velocity like that and just stuff like that. So, shout out to PJ. But Caden Behrens is another good call out. But with McHenry County, there's more than just those handful of guys. Bennett Wolf, Bo Anderson, Sean Dooley, Will Baumhart, another one. But Fields, anybody else you want to talk about with McHenry County just before we kind of move on to Rock Valley?
Yeah, I'll pick up with Wolf and Bo Anderson. Both of those guys were, Bennett Wolf was I believe he was a McQuantico guy. Bo Anderson was a Hortonville guy, but both of them pitched a lot for them in high school. Known for throwing strikes. Bennett Wolf probably a little more upside with the spin, but Bo Anderson, probably above average to plus command of a fastball, and he continues to take up. He's up to 87, 88 now, but there's also a changeup and a curveball there. It's a starter's look. Both of these guys look to start again this year. So, you can never have enough right-handers that can spin a breaking ball and throw a ton of strikes that really produce at the college level. So, a ton of value out of both of those guys already. So.
Yeah, that's, as always, Coach Jared Wacker over at McHenry College, doing a great job there, has been for a while, but just feels like that Wisconsin sort of relationship has gotten even more and more strong over the past 5-10 years, and you get to see it firsthand now. But Rock Valley too. This is this program that won, I think, 45 games, something like that last year.
I think they have back-to-back 40-win seasons in my notes.
Yeah, so Coach Heron there doing a great job, clearly, but their Wisconsin players, I think, even more so than McHenry County, just looking at the roster right now, just really, really stand out on this roster in particular.
Yeah, it's almost like a majority of Wisconsin players just from an Illinois program, which is a cool nugget, I guess.
Yeah, just interesting one way or the other. Jamison Johnson feels like he might be one of the better right-handed hitters we've talked about. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I've seen Jamin Rock Valley probably as much as I've seen Madison College, maybe if not more. And Jamison Johnson hasn't, produced across every single look. I think he hit 4 home runs across the fall, and I saw 3 of them hitting into all fields. This kid's also a sneaky athlete. It's like a 707 runner with some arm strength and ability to play third or a corner outfield. So right-handed pop with a ton of production. Sneaky athlete with present raw power. There's a lot to like here, and there's been some schools reaching out to me about Jamison Johnson. Just already grabbing some attention for himself after his performance this fall.
Yeah, good for him. That's awesome. I mean, he played a lot last year. Slugged 620, hit 11 home runs, which was one less than Gavin Obremski, another freshman, or I should say, another Wisconsin kid from Stevens Point. Was a teammate with, I guess he went to Mosinee. He started at Stevens Point and went to Mosinee, but was briefly teammates with Noah Marshke, who we talked about earlier. But with Obremski, Fields, how would you compare him to some of these other catchers we've talked about with Hamill? Just these other kids where we're referring to them and questioning maybe like, okay, like where do they fit? Like a Novinska fit defensively at the next level. But Obremski is similar in that he has like some really impressive offensive statistics. But where is the catch?
I think it's all about the bat with Gavin. I think he can hit himself into the middle of the order no matter what the catch is, and I think the catch is more than fine. I think he could 100% play catcher at the Division I level. It might not be a guy that you want to have start every day, or a guy that you need to like a defensive replacement, but it's all about the bat here, and there's real like present power, and I mean it could even get into average or to above average power at some point. But a really physical frame from the left side, obviously a ton of field to hit home runs like you had said, but there was 17 doubles to pair with 12 home runs. So like there's just every time he's hitting the baseball, he's hitting it hard, and it's mostly the pull side right now, but I mean he can drive. We saw him at the Rivet Stadium for a scout day, and I mean he was driving baseballs out to the deepest part of that park, and those baseballs were traveling a long way. I think there's a ceiling here, with the raw power, and obviously I think the bat, like the hit tool is enough for it to fit into the middle of the order somewhere.
Yeah, and then Ryan Lesnick I know is one that you wanted to talk about a little bit more here too.
Yeah, I had mentioned Lesnick kind of at the same breath as Rory Dutton, but I mean. Lesnick, left-handed hitter, really grinds out at bats. Really smart player as well. I mean, was Lesnick a Puma kid growing up? I know he was a Tremper kid, but
I thought so. Same with Dutton.
Yeah, that makes complete sense with just I mean, Cologne does a great job over there.
Puma, kind of have a knack for really not just blooming like late in college, but like very late. And Sawyer Smith isn't the best example because he didn't like really. I think he was just good in college. He didn't like bloom late.
I think he just grew up to be 6'4" really early.
Yeah, he was just good once he was there. But there are other examples like a Griffin Smith even I guess is one. Maybe not from Puma I should say, but from Rock Valley that I can recall that.
Well, I mean Rory's brother.
Yeah, right. Like then they figure it out. And like Ryan Lesnick and Rory now feel like they're kind of cut from the same cloth and like
real scrappy, like they know how to play the game. They know all the intricacies. They make the right plays, and they make smart and intelligent plays on the field. And, like I said, with both of them, they just grind out at bats, and they make it hard on an opposing pitcher. I wouldn't want to face them.
Yeah.
Both of them could probably hit the top of the order too at the next level.
Yeah, that is reassuring. I think if you're Rock Valley looking for another 40-win type season, it sounds like they have what it takes here. And there's some really interesting freshmen too. I don't know, did you get to see Luke Schlosser at all? Just out of curiosity, we just saw him.
Yeah, Luke. Rock Valley had a freshman heavy up the middle this fall. Landon Ubrick and Luke Schlosser, in particularly, were playing the majority of their innings up the middle, and I think they got two starters that they could interchange at short or at second any day of the week. But I mean, Luke, left-handed bat, quick, easy swing. But he can really pick it with some arm strength. I think right now the glove's a little head, but with the way the swing works, I think you can project on Luke really hitting in college. And the same thing with Ubrick. Ubrick might be my pick to click for like Rock Valley's next like hidden gem that they found. Like they kind of found Jamison Johnson, but I mean Ubrick's a 6'3" guy that can actually play shortstop and is an athlete. The right-handed swing is going to really play, I think. sky's the limit for this kid, I think. I don't think we got to see him a lot in high school,
yeah.
but certainly if we would have probably made a conceded effort to go out and see him at least in high school season.
No, it sounds like it. Yeah, kicking myself for that one. But it's a good note with Schlosser too, just because I felt like he really turned the corner as senior year offensively, and makes it a little bit easier with his level of defense and athleticism, arm strength, huge arm strength across the infield, but gives himself a chance to earn some major playing time, I think, if the back kind of continues to trend in the right direction, which it already has been. So good stuff there. Well, I know we're kind of like running even maybe over than we thought, but we can continue to chip away on this Fields if you think that's a good idea. But just with some of these out-of-state programs that we were going to kind of focus on.
Yeah, I think there's a couple more that I'd like to shout out here. Where are my notes here? Yeah, Sawyer Stein, Iowa Central.
Yep.
Wisconsin guys, you kind of have your three to four choices in state for junior colleges, but Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois all bleed into the state, and they pick up a lot of they have their own little pockets that they kind of recruit out of, but they pick up a lot of Wisconsin flavors. But Sawyer Stein out of the Eau Claire area was one of the top hitters for Iowa Central last year, and Iowa Central is a perennial top program across Division II JUCO, but it's a guy that can run, right-handed hitter with a ton of strength. This frame stands out in the box, and it's a frame where you would see the run time and you'd be like, really, it stands out.
Yeah.
I think it's a 6'8" runner, and it's a pretty physical frame, but 100-mile-an-hour EVs in game with a ton of production to back it up. I think somebody's going to be really happy about getting Sawyer Stein. This is another potential middle of the order bat, and I feel like kind of a broken record here, but there's a ton of bats that had a lot of tools as seniors in Wisconsin, went junior college, and now can find themselves legitimately inside lineups at the Division I level in the middle of the order. I think
some Leo Lauscher vibes there, I think.
Leo Lauscher also did rank this fall too for
I know,
Southeastern.
I know. We forgot to put him on our list here, but I was like, good thing I remembered Leo Lauscher in Southeastern, because Southeastern, they have at least they have a couple.
They have a couple. Leo Lauscher, Colton Angle actually is probably going to be one of their top returning arms for them this year.
Really
right-handed guy.
West, he was a really clean arm in high school. He was a really interesting two-way player.
Yeah, it's still really clean now. I think it's up in the low 90s right now. I saw it down at the Puma, and then our Kansas scouting director Andy Urban saw it over at home field for the KC JUCO showcase. But we're both fans of it. It's going to really play. It's still clean. It's up into the 90s with the breaking ball, and 90s and breaking ball in junior college. That gets you a lot of outs.
Nice. Some others here, just DMAC, Ben Heitz at DMAC, Tyler Suttner at Iowa Central, just like Sawyer Stein. Suttner always has had super interesting stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still super interesting. It's still a super carry fastball with a big breaking slider, two-pitch guy. Still a super clean arm as well.
Yeah, that is the type of guy that if you saw him playing pro ball in 5 years or something, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
This was gonna happen. Yeah.
At some point, it was gonna click.
Yes, Tyler.
And he still looks like he could add 40
exactly.
more pounds to his frame.
Yeah. Dean Staudiker, Wabash Valley, down power program down in Illinois. That Muskego kid who I've seen a ton of video, I think, on him from this fall, so I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, he's playing third over there, getting some time in these showcase games. It's always a good sign when you're at one of these premier programs like Wabash Valley in Illinois. As a freshman, you've kind of closed the gap with the sophomores, and you're getting into these showcase games. That just goes to show you, hey, they feel really good about your ability to play right away.
Yeah. Roman Cienza, John A. Logan, Trent Cornell, Nolan Buss, Johnson County. Those are some big names, actually. Roman Cienza was a future gamer for us back in the day. Just
all three were future gamers on the same team, actually.
Yeah, they were. Yep, exactly. And Cienza was high-waisted athlete, left-handed hitter with, all of the tools you could ask for. So I think he's in good hands with Coach Soup and the gang down there. And at John A., Trent Cornell, compact, special right-handed hitter, just a ton of strength for him. Johnson County, that's a special program in their own right. Nolan Buss, I think you said he shut down this fall, but another Arrowhead.
Yeah, but
arm
looks to be
mentioned.
they look to be really excited about him over there at Johnson
Yeah.
County. I was talking to their pitching coach a couple times this fall, but I mean, it's Nolan Buss. I mean, throw him at the back end of the bullpen with that fastball that runs like 20 inches off from that low slot. It's going to be a tough at bat from anybody.
Yep. So hopefully he'll get healthy, get some innings reps in for Johnson County, and get that going this spring for them. But that'll be fun watching two Wisconsin guys for a program like that out there. Sawyer Larson, Kishwaukee is pretty interesting. I was pumped that you put his name down just because he was someone I think we liked in high school. So seeing him there, did you put him down? Did he make an impression for you this fall? Or
Yeah, he's still two-way, and actually for Kishwaukee, I mean, every time I see him at the Rock, he's always barreling baseballs. He hit a double off the wall, but he was up to 92 actually once at the Rock for the Region 4 showcase with a breaking ball. So it's a really interesting profile. Like there's still some two-way upside there. Like I mean, bat to ball still shows out in sneaky pop, and he's an athlete obviously, but the 92 with the breaking ball on the mound really changes some things for Sawyer here.
yeah, with some offense, like that's something to follow for sure. Did you put Peyton Ryback down here as well? Like I know we might not have firsthand anyway gotten a look.
Nothing firsthand, but I mean, Peyton Ryback, worked his way into starting right away as a freshman.
Yep.
We already knew that he was, he can defend at that level, at a Division I level, and any uptick with the bat just adds to it.
Yeah, and yet another version of like, because he was catching right with them.
Yeah, catching right away.
Because he was you looked at it, the tools in high school, and you were like, how is he still uncommitted? And he was one. It just was tough sledding for him for whatever reason, just on the commitment, finding the right place, and just shout out to him because Wallace Dothan, it's a good program, and then earning his way into regular playing time has now like created a path where it's like much easier to see these tools in game show, and like it's going to be easier to convince 4 years and so on to take another shot at him next spring, next fall.
Yeah, I mean, athlete, bat speed, catch and throw, bat strength. Like, what more can you want from a catcher there? Yeah,
we saw him perform, I think in game, too, so it wasn't like it was lacking that aspect either. So Peyton Ryback, good stuff there for Wallace Dothan, Alabama. William Horner, Oakton, Jack Roventini, Chandler Gilbert in Arizona, Adam Kadronowitz, Logan Zavril at Iowa Western, great program out there. And then Dylan Campo at Florida Southwestern. I know some of these guys, most of these guys, we didn't get to see firsthand or anything like that with them being outside the Midwest for the most part. But Roventini, obviously, just awesome to see him pitching. Seems like a lot just in the fall, like ramping up, kind of getting back into it for Chandler Gilbert. So that's great. And Kadronowitz, two-wing at Iowa Western. I think that tells you a lot. Just he's always been one of the strongest left-handed hitters in the state. But yeah, anything else to add here, Fields, to this group?
Nothing. I'm glad that you added that nugget about Jack. Like I had heard early in the summer that he had started to throw and was planning on, pitching this fall and even the spring at Chandler Gilbert. So it's just a, super heartwarming story to hear out of Jack that, things have turned the corner and it's going pretty well for him.
Yeah, and it kind of tells you another story about him as a competitor too, just to be getting after it as much as he is on the mound right now. I think just goes to show just how hard he's worked to kind of get right back here. So it's almost like he hasn't skipped a beat, and I think that's impressive in its own right. So that's awesome. Shout out to Jack Roventini on that one, and I'm sure there's players here we haven't yet talked about, and it just goes to show you just how important and fun I think Fields will have to. Maybe we'll make a regular segment out of the junior college stuff in the winter and spring, because it's just going to be more and more and more important for 4 years to be paying attention to it. And I think the longer that we can help some of these former Wisconsin kids show out at these junior college homes.
Yeah, and I think you're already seeing that trickle over in the effects of all the new recruiting rules. Like the Region 4 showcase was very heavily scouted. There were teams flying in to see some of these guys. Junior college is not your last option. In fact, in Wisconsin, it might be like the best option unless you're one of these top end guys. Like there's examples after examples of guys that really get these 150 at bat as a freshman and really take off and just find a really good spot for them and hit the ground running at their next spot. So I don't know. I'm with Andy. I think junior college is only going to get more and more important as we get deeper into these rules being in place. But I don't know. Do you have anything more to add on that as well?
No, that it'll be fun to pay attention to. Like, I'm sure there's some better examples. We kind of, I think, recite a lot of the most recent ones, like an Alex Breckheimer, kind of a lot.
I mean, Griffin Smith is an easy one. I mean, he was
Griffin Smith, and
I could even throw in a Rock Valley guy from this year, Jaden. I'm gonna try the last name, Kukevich, Muskego kid. He's a 6'4" lefty. We invited him to the state games last year, inaugural 2-inning outing. I mean, he was only topping out at 77 at this time, but you looked at the kid and you just threw out the radar gun because he was beating a lot of really good hitters in the zone. And then he commits to Rock Valley almost right after that. 6'4" lefty, moves clean, easy to like. And then I see him at the Puma and he's 84, 86 already.
Yeah, like unbelievable. Yeah, like that's
just guys that can change their life if you just give it a year or even like half a year more opportunity to go after it.
Yeah, and just determining when reps matter and then when they don't, because it's not even to discredit being stuck behind the experienced shortstop, second baseman, like that it's gonna require you to redshirt or whatever. Like, I mean, they assess whether or not that is good for you, because it could be. Like, I mean, maybe you're in great hands with the coaching staff, and it's a leadership on the playing side, like the player you're playing behind, like that you can get better that way as well. And I don't think you need to completely discredit these things, but determining whether or not like you need reps specifically, like your examples there, Fields, it sounds like innings was essential. Like more than anything, it was like let's get some innings, let's like learn what it's like to face some of these collegiate bats, and that's crucial. But determine whether or not like that is for you as well, because like I don't think we're trying to say either that one route is always better than the other. Like so I think we can kind of see both sides.
Yeah, like Ethan Cole went to where did Ethan Cole go? The Winnebago Lutheran kid. It was like Augustana.
Augustana. Yep. Augustana.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great 4-year career there, and then got drafted this year. Like, there's not trying to push you in any direction anywhere. Just finding the right fit more is the point here.
Yep. Awesome. Well, again, it'll be fun to continue to follow this JUCO level in the spring. I think Fields will have to definitely make this a regular thing, just to kind of keep tabs on these guys, and the ones we haven't talked about too, just that break out, and freshmen that make impacts maybe earlier than we would have thought, and so on. So we'll definitely keep that on the front of our minds, just to check back in on these guys as often as we can.
Yeah, and there's still some like really good players that we didn't even break down on this podcast. So like revisiting some guys, spreading out some love, like be on the lookout for that.
Yep, for sure. And I know, like, because you've been busy, obviously, but we'll have some Puma insights, I think, probably, over the off season here, if I'm not mistaken, things like that. That'll come out soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, with no Vinny, there's unfortunately no Retina report today, so we'll have to skip it this week. But other than that, I think we had some commitments, but we can save that for next time. I know this episode ran a little longer, but that's just JUCO, I guess. Like, it's easy to talk about the junior college grind. The JUCO
I mean,
route.
we had some JUCO commitments that we touched on. Caden Barron's, Western Michigan, Landon Ragau, Central Michigan. So, Michigan schools getting some JUCO love from our Wisconsin boys.
That's awesome. I don't actually think there is much else then without the Vinny Retina report to kind of ease us into the ending. I think we're done here, Josh. But,
yeah, I think so too.
All right, awesome.
This was fun.
This was fun. I felt rushed, like we could have kind of kept talking about this for another hour plus, I think.
I think I have 15 to 20 more names,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, well, there'll be plenty of off-season fodder. Maybe we'll try to get on, a coach or a JUCO player or former JUCO player, who's maybe I don't know if it's Breckheimer or somebody that would like kind of come on and talk about their experience in junior college and
The Plog cast.
Ethan Plog, that would be amazing. Ethan, this is your annual invitation to join us on the podcast. But yeah, we'll keep some junior topics in mind here this off season and beyond. So I appreciate you guys listening. Again, Vinny's better about it than me, but reminding you all to like and subscribe. I believe that helps us quite a bit, just for our own tracking purposes and just making sure people are listening and like what they hear or don't. All that feedback helps us in a ton of different ways. So would appreciate that if you could take the time to do it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and leave a comment if you want to, I guess.
Comment.
Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know about your favorite JUCO player from Wisconsin, I guess.
Yeah, there's some good recent examples. So
I'll respond back and we can banter in the comment section.
yeah, Jacob Mizorowski counts, even though he's not from Wisconsin. He is a JUCO player, and he's in Wisconsin. So
I mean, so is Aaron Ashby. He's another JUCO guy.
there you go. There you go. Former Brewer, current Brewers, former JUCO guys, and I think that number will only grow in terms of the amount of JUCO guys playing pro ball. Seems to be inevitable. So awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Fields, for dominating this one. You've been everywhere this fall with JUCO stuff, and we'll transition next week. We might be talking about potentially the 2029 class. These freshmen hitting high school campus. Since we've talked about the 28s, 27s, 26s in previous editions, but we might roll out like a little 2029, either rankings or some sort of just highlight the players who've stood out to us so far of these freshmen in the state. So we might spend a little bit of time talking about that group in the next podcast. But if not, we'll have to brainstorm on some other topics here as the off season kind of officially approaches. But I think that covers us this week. So I appreciate you guys listening once again, and we'll talk to you next time. All right. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast. To keep tabs on our latest events, rankings, and coverage, subscribe or follow the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us over at PrepBaseballWI on X and at PrepBaseballReport.com/Wisconsin. Until next time.